35 years ago, the United States military did something that military experts said was impossible. In just 38 days, they completely annihilated one of the largest air defense networks in the world without losing a single bomber. And right now, as negotiations between Washington and Tehran reach a critical breaking point, the Pentagon is dusting off that exact same playbook. Today, we're going to break down exactly how the Desert Storm blueprint would work against Iran's modern defenses, why Iran's upgraded systems might actually make them more vulnerable, and what the U.S. Navy is already doing to prepare for the unthinkable. Modern conflict never comes down to strength alone. Success depends on planning, coordination, and the ability to adapt when the map changes faster than anyone expects. To understand why military planners are looking at Desert Storm as a template for Iran, you need to first understand just how insane that operation really was. In August 1990, Saddam Hussein's Iraq had the fourth largest army in the world, over 1 million soldiers, 5,500 tanks, and crucially, one of the most sophisticated air defense networks outside of the Soviet Union. The Iraqis had French-made Roland missiles, Soviet SA-2S, SA-3S, SA-6S, and SA-8S, thousands of anti-aircraft guns, and an integrated command and control network modeled after the Soviet Union's own air defense doctrine. Military analysts at the time estimated that an air campaign against Iraq would result in the loss of hundreds of coalition aircraft. They were catastrophically wrong. At 2:38 a.m. on January 17, 1991, 8 F-17 Nighthawk stealth bombers crossed into Iraqi airspace. They were completely invisible to Iraqi radar. Their mission: take out Iraq's command and control centers in the first 30 minutes of the war. Those 8 aircraft dropped precision-guided bombs on the Iraqi Air Force headquarters, the main telephone exchange, key command bunkers, critical radar installations. Within minutes, Iraq's air defense network was blind and deaf. The generals couldn't talk to their missile batteries. The radar operators couldn't warn the interceptors. The entire system collapsed. But here's where it gets interesting for Iran. Now, Iran's leadership knows exactly what happened to Iraq. They spent the last 3 decades building what they believe is an impenetrable air defense shield. Let me show you what we're dealing with. Long range, the S-300 PMU-2. Iran finally received these Russian-made systems in 2016 after years of delays. These can engage targets up to 200 kilometers away at altitudes of up to 27,000 m. Multiple missiles can guide simultaneously, and they're specifically designed to counter stealth aircraft. The Bovar 373, Iran's pride. This is their homegrown system. Iran claims it rivals the Russian S-400. It uses phased array radar, can track up to 200 targets simultaneously, and carries the SC-84 missile with a reported range of 300 kilometers. Medium range, the corded systems. These are the ones that actually shot down that $180 million American RQ-4A Global Hawk drone back in 2019. They work, and Iran knows it. Short-range Chinese and Russian systems, TORM-1, Pantsir S-1, and a web of anti-aircraft artillery covering every critical facility. Sounds impressive, right? Here's the problem: integration. Iraq's air defense networks failed because once you cut the head off the snake command centers, all those individual missile batteries become isolated islands. They couldn't coordinate. They couldn't share targeting data. They couldn't mask their fires. And despite all of Iran's upgrades, intelligence analysts believe they have the exact same weakness. So, how would a modern Desert Storm unfold against Iran? Let me walk you through what the Pentagon is actually planning. It starts before a single manned aircraft crosses into Iranian airspace. Right now, there are at least 8 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers in the Middle East. Each one carries up to 96 Tomahawk cruise missiles in there. Vertical launch systems. That's potentially 768 cruise missiles ready to launch from positions Iran's air defenses cannot reach. The first wave would target radar installations, command bunkers, communications nodes, electrical substations powering air defense networks. Simultaneously, Air Force B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, the same aircraft that hit Iran during Operation Midnight Hammer last June, would penetrate Iranian airspace. These bombers carry the 30,000 pounds GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator specifically designed to destroy deeply buried facilities. The exact type of facilities Iran has been frantically trying to protect by burying entrances with dirt. But here's where the Navy becomes critical. The USS Abraham Lincoln Strike Group is currently positioned in the Arabian Sea. On board F-35C Lightning II stealth fighters and EA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft. The Growlers would deploy first, jamming Iranian radar frequencies and launching AGM-88 HARM missiles at any air defense system that lights up its radar. Then come the F-35 F-35Cs. These fifth-generation fighters are designed to operate in contested airspace. Their sensor fusion allows them to see the entire battle space while remaining virtually invisible to Iranian radar. And they've already proven they work. Just last week, an F-35C from the Lincoln shot down an Iranian Shahed-139 drone that was approaching the carrier. The Iranians didn't even know the F-35 was there until their drone exploded. But the real innovation, it's something that would make Desert Storm planners weep with envy. In 1991, we cut Iraq's communications by bombing telephone exchanges. In 2026, we can do something far more devastating. Sources indicate the United States has already pre-positioned cyber weapons inside Iranian military networks. These were placed during the months leading up to the current crisis. When, not if, an attack begins, these cyber weapons would disable radar systems remotely, corrupt missile guidance data, shut down power grids supporting air defense, sever communications between commanders and operators. Iran's air defenders might watch their screens go dark, their missiles refuse to launch, their radios fill with static, all before the first physical weapon arrives. Then there's the swarm. The U.S. military has developed the ADM-160 Miniature Air Launch Decoy, or MELD. These small drones can be launched from F-35s, F-15E, and even standoff platforms. Each mold can be programmed to mimic the radar signature of larger aircraft. Imagine hundreds of fake F-35s appearing on Iranian radar screens, while the real aircraft approach from different vectors. Every time an Iranian operator launches a Syed missile at a mold, that's one less missile to shoot at an actual aircraft. And those $3 million missiles are far more expensive than the decoys. Chief of Naval Operations Admiral Daryl Cottle said it best just last week. We overmatched them significantly. Iran knows this. So, the fact that we have that type of capability is a strong deterrent. He's not bluffing. So what does all this mean for the current standoff? Right now, the United States has deployed 10 Navy ships in the CENTCOM region, the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group, with 60-plus aircraft, 8 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, over 100 C-7 cargo flights delivering THAAD and Patriot systems, F-15E Strike Eagles, A-10 Thunderbolts, EA-18G Growlers, B-2 bombers likely positioned at Diego Garcia. And here's the thing about Desert Storm that Iran's leadership needs to understand. The air campaign against Iraq wasn't meant to win the war. It was meant to make the ground war unnecessary. After 38 days of airstrikes, Iraqi forces in Kuwait were so degraded, so demoralized, so cut off from command that the ground campaign lasted just 100 hours. When IRGC General Hussein Dihegi threatened last week to strike all U.S. bases in the region if attacked, he was ignoring a critical lesson from history. Saddam Hussein's forces also had missiles. They fired 42 Scud missiles at Israel, 46 at Saudi Arabia. They killed a total of 28 coalition personnel. The coalition killed between 20,000 and 50,000 Iraqi soldiers. That's the math. That's the Desert Storm blueprint. Iran's military planners know it. As negotiations continue in Amman this weekend, as CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper sits across from Iranian representatives, one thing is certain. The United States isn't just offering diplomacy. It's offering Iran a choice between a deal or experiencing exactly what Iraq experienced 35 years ago. Only this time, the technology is exponentially more advanced. The precision is infinitely more accurate. The outcome would be far more decisive. If you want to understand more about the incredible technology keeping our Navy one step ahead of our adversaries, check out our video on the F/A-XX, the next generation fighter that will ensure American air dominance for decades to come. Links in the description.